Good evening, everyone. Sorry for the delay, but we had technical problems. Uh, Hopefully it works better. So the regular meeting of the Municipal Council of the town of Chandelier is underway, and you've received. Maybe we should start by doing little announcements. We're going to do it in English. I would like to. You'll notice oftentimes we make that reading, and I do not want it to sound like a machine. The entire council is engaged towards improved relations with our native populations, which are going to continue to grow. And with this, I would say we received an invitation today to participate in an event that will be held on September 29th in Bouctouche. This is the first time the event will be held. And it's organized by the Kent Regional Service Commission and in partnership with the town of Bouctouche. The entire day is going to be on the native culture. So if you receive the invitation, dear councillors, I would invite you, if you desire to do so, and if you're available, this year it's in September 29th, and I would encourage you to take part. On this, you received the agenda. And before proceeding to the adoption of the agenda, I would like to add three points under 13, 13A. In the camera on Article 68. Under B, we're going to talk about land acquisition, and C, a medical clinic. So are there any other modifications to do to the agenda? Not, I'd like the motion to accept the agenda as modified. I move the adoption of the agenda as presented with the modifications. Councillor Richard motioned it, now seconded by Councillor Bastrach. All in favor, say aye. Yes. All against? Adopted. Item 3. Are there any conflicts of interest to declare? I see none. Go to item 4 now, which is the minutes of the meeting July 16th. You've already received the minutes of the July 15th. Are there any modifications, corrections to bring to the minutes of the July 16th meeting? I'm sorry. Councillor Cormier. Inaudible. There's a correction to bring. Inaudible. Councillor Cormier, modification. The motion is first, second. All in favor? Against? So item 5, a business arising from the minutes. Are there any that are not on the agenda today? I see none. So now we're going to go to item 6, which is a public presentation on rezoning. Now it's my pleasure to recognize, to welcome again. I'm going to remind the public that if there are any questions, I will wait at the end of the presentation. And if there are any questions on the agenda, it's going to be at the end of the meeting, like always. So it's over to you. I'll invite you to come to the podium. And you can speak, make sure you speak in the microphone for our interpreter, which so we're going to attempt to be nice, because it's first meeting. And I'll invite all the councilors to speak as close to the microphone as possible so that our interpreter can do his job. And the interpreter, please make us a sign if things are not going correctly. Good evening, everyone. In fact, today is uh, uh, we want to see if there's any objections to the project in question. So inaudible. And it's about rezoning change. So we want to see if there's anybody opposed to this project. And so we just want to see if there's any objections with regard to the two-family residential R2 and single-family residential zone. I'm here to answer all the questions regarding this project. And we'll see if we can have the possibility to go forward with this project. And so that's, I don't really have a presentation to do. I just want to note if there are any objections to it. Thank you. So are there any objections to this rezoning project? That's the question you're asking? Yes. So that is what the law requires on the Municipal Planning Act. The law says that we must consult the residents after consulting with the department. And and inaudible. We made recommendations to the municipality, and so it's up to the municipality now, and we inaudible. Very difficult. Interpreters great difficulty trying to find and see what he's saying. So the municipality, Chandelier, the bylaw for PID 2536071. So it is a two-family residential R2 in a single-family residential zone, whereas municipalities request the opinion of the Kent Regional Service Commission to begin the process of amending the rural plan to allow the construction of a duplex in a single-family residential zone. Located in Saint Antoine, and people interested can check the zoning requests, rezoning requests. So that's something we've done. We promised the population that inaudible. Inaudible, I'm sorry. He says he's there to listen if any people that have any opposition to it. Thank you. Thank you. First of all, I'd like to ask if there's anybody here that'd like to make an intervention about PID number 2536071. Seems to be none, no intervention from the public. So now to see if there's any specific questions from the councilors now. Councilor Cormier, thank you. A number of letters were received, inaudible. Very difficult understanding, very difficulty understanding this. I'm trying my best. So when it comes to the letters, we two people were in disagreement with the project. What's it mainly about? It's the population must live with this rezoning change. The population, it's it's for transparency. So we must inform the neighbors because of noise, construction noises. So when it comes to this project, I'm sorry, I cannot understand that gentleman whatsoever. I'm sorry. Sorry, it's inaudible to the interpreter. Inaudible. Currently, two people in disagreement with the rezoning. It's all I can get from that. Thank you. Are there any other council questions from council? Councillor Basraj. When it comes to the answers that you received from the people who said no, who objected, whether I didn't understand the question. Yes, there were comments from the people that objected. One of the people, inaudible. Another person wasn't in favor of the rezoning because it would reduce the value of their property. Other people have said they weren't in agreement as well, but they didn't give a reason behind it. So, thank you, Councillor Bastrach. At the Kent Regional Service Commission, you in agreement with the rezoning request? Yes, we in agreement with the project. With the people we consulted with, and that they looked at the environmental impact. So since there seems to be no problem with the planning department and also corresponding with the law as well. So we've given our opinion that the request to be accepted as presented. Thank you. Thank you. So is there any other questions from the councillors on the rezoning of PID 25360751? Councillor? Councillor Hicks is simply asking, is it, do you have information that you can normally give to citizens in order to reassure them or inform them on the effects of having a duplex next to their property? Is that something that you have? Is that something that you do? It's what we do is we survey the population and then we tell them what the advantages and what are inaudible. Inaudible. Thank you. So Councillor Cormier again? Yes, thank you, Your Worship. It, surface water is what concerns me. When you do your report, inaudible. Are there any negative effects to the people adjacent to this particular property? Myself in charge of the zoning, I cannot tell you that. It's the building inspector that's apt to tell you that. Once all the rezoning is approved, have to go to another level to get a construction permit. And they have to explain themselves. So it's up to the building inspector that must provide that information. To allow me to clarify, remember that clarification we received on that. The inspector believes that the owner of the land get a construction permit. In that case, the inspector is going to make a determination if yes or no, if there's if the water evacuation plan, if there's water evacuation plan. I would foresee how the property will evacuate water, surface water, but they don't take into account what impact it's going to have on the neighbors, on the surface waters in the municipalities. That determination belongs to our engineer. So nowhere in the permit process is that determination done, and it's not it's not the authority of the inspectors to do so. It's who's responsible if it goes on the neighbor's land? I understand that, but who has the responsibility if it goes on neighbor's property? The inspector, the building inspector, before approving the plan, they're going to make sure that there's nothing that encroaches on neighbors. That is part of the determinations that the inspector does. But now, would it have an incidence on our infrastructure? No, but on the neighbors, yes. When it comes to the permit. Inaudible. The municipality has the right to do studies in all of them. Inaudible, I'm sorry. The in this case, inaudible. There's enough land on both sides to create a ditch to distribute the water. It's never 100% certain, but you know, thank you. Are there other interventions? So what would be the buffer needed between property owners? That's inaudible. Thank you. Are there any other questions? Thank you very much once again for your presentation and the answers you've given. On this, we'll ask council if you have a motion to bring on item 6A. That's, I'll read the resolution or the motion, whereas the municipality has requested the opinion. 6A, two-family residential R2 in a single-family residential zone PID 2536071. Whereas the municipality has requested the opinion of the Kent Regional Service Commission to begin the process of amending the rural plan to allow the construction of a duplex in a single-family residential zone. And whereas the Kent Regional Services Commission's Review and Planning Committee recommends the zoning amendment, therefore, be it resolved that the municipality of Champ-Doré accepts the recommendation of the Kent Regional Services Commission and proceeds with drafting the amendment to the bylaw. You've heard the motion. Anybody to second it? And your other discussions on the resolution that was moved and seconded? Mr. Your Worship, I'm not against the rezoning, but for development, but we have to make sure that the surface water is not going to infringe on the neighbor's land. We have to make sure that the surface water is headed in the right direction. So the commission says it's all right, but that neighbor is concerned, and you want to make sure they just not the one responsible. That person have to be responsible for making sure the water heads in the direction, the right direction, and not towards the storm sewers. So we refused zoning request for the same reason before. The property owner must make sure that the water is redirected elsewhere other than the neighbors. Thank you, Councillor Vassarage. During your comments, you said we have to be certain and we must be sure. But our job as a council is to make sure that if we go to our engineer and we pay him to do that determination. So if it's a consideration you want to make, it has to be an amendment, and that would mean that it adds another condition, but it's our responsibility. It's the only responsibility of the property owner according to law is to present their plan to the inspector, and the inspector will then make the determination, and the inspector according to the questions they're going to ask, we can make sure that the inspector is made aware of the worries that you presented. But if you want to go further, to be sure to make sure that unless you want to add a condition, so I've given you options. You can add conditions or amendments that will be unprecedented, but you can nonetheless do them, put conditions to make sure that there's a water evacuation plan. But I advise you that we're not experts in this. be careful what we request, but that's the options, and maybe it'll assuage your worries. But I'll go to Councillor X. Think about that, and I'll go to Councillor X. Councillor Cormier. Following the comments from Councillor Bastrach and Hicks, I would, inaudible, inaudible. Maybe the most of the houses on that street were built lower levels. So I can see what Councillor X is saying. Usually when there's a vacant land, that's where the surface water goes. But based on the comments from Leon, I have confidence. That's why I second the resolution. In spite of what he said before, I seconded because I have confidence in our experts at the commission, and they're experts in this. They know how to treat surface water and things like that. And they know, so it's going to be redirected to our culverts, and it's our responsibility to make sure it does. So I would just like to make a comment. I appreciate the comments of the councillors in the warnings. It's quite simply a sign that we're not just a rubber stamp organization. We study things in depth, and appreciate the comments from everyone and the presentation of your words and your comments. So on that, we're going to go to a vote. All in favor? Against? Adopted. Inaudible. Inaudible. I'm sorry, the interpreter does not understand the gentleman whatsoever. Again, the interpreter does not understand this gentleman whatsoever. I appreciate your offer, and we accept it on behalf of the council. I'm certain to speak to behalf of all councillors to say that they're going to receive the letter, they're going to receive it, read it, and consider it. So that could be a future practice. Thank you once again for your work on this, for on behalf of our citizens in our municipality. On that, we're going to item 7, which is correspondence. We have 2. I'm happy to remind you and to announce to the public once again that we've received the official letter from the Department of Transportation Infrastructure that our request for the acquisition of a piece of land at the St. Paul School has been approved. And we will have to to spend an exorbitant sum of $1 to acquire it. So, and all the work that must be done through our lawyers has started. Our lawyers are aware of it. I would tell you, for those that there's also work that's been done. We've had discussions with our lawyer about whether there's any contamination in the land. I can tell you that the land has passed the inspection, passed the test for contamination, is not contaminated. So we're receiving a piece of land that is in good condition. I remind you that the project, it's a collaborative project with the municipality made the acquisition, but we're also going to give the front part of the land, give access to the Paroisse Religieuse de Saint-Paul, the religious organization of Saint-Paul, which has been there for years and years. So it's going to allow them to continue parking that space. And we're also going to allow probably a additional parking at the head of the trail for the four-wheelers so that they can park their trailers. And behind the piece of land, there's a discussion about to put a community garden. And so there's going to be undertakings in that regard. It's a beautiful community project. We appreciate the generosity of the Department of Transportation Infrastructure to give us that piece of land for $1. Any questions? Mr. Councillor Cormier. Good news. I'm convinced in so, inaudible, I'm sorry. Just to comment, it's almost 5 years that I'm trying to get that piece of property. I would like to thank everybody that's worked on that file. It's been a long time in the works, especially Mark, the mayor, who's done a lot of work. He's approached the government on many occasions. With the new apartment that's going to be built next to the church for seniors in Ottawa. So a lot of people did a lot of work around this, and I just want to thank personally the mayor for the work he has done on this particular file. So thank you very much for your worship. Thank you. It's back over to Councilor Bastrach that did a lot of work on this particular file. It's he's a pillar of the community that worked on this. Thank you to everybody. On that, we're going to go to 7B, which is PID 2548-5541. It's a correspondence that we received. Remind the council that it's the former property that and there was a stipulation in the contract that stated that the property owner had to do certain things. The property owner did several of those things, but there's one thing he wasn't able to do under the time that he was given because of personal situations. And we've received a letter where they're asking for an extension for that contractual element, and you've been made aware of the letter. The nature is personal reasons. We have an opportunity to discuss it with our lawyer. Our lawyer sees a good eye that we can on behalf of the municipality that we accept that request that was made to us. So now it's up to the council to determine what to do. PID 2548-5541. I propose the municipality of Saint Doré grant the request of the owner of land bearing the NID 2548-5541 for 1-year extension and development of said land. The zoning process and development permit must not exceed August 20th, 2026. Thank you, Councillor Bastrach. Is there someone to second it? I second it. Thank you, Councillor Richard. Are there any questions about the resolution? There's none. Are there all in favor? Against? Adopted. Item 8, interim mayor's report. You've received my bi-weekly report. Are there any questions on certain events or the totality of the report? I can answer if there are no questions. So the chief administrative officer's report, you received their report. Good work. Any questions about the chief administrative officer's report? One question, the chief administrative officer himself is going to continue to furnish you bi-weekly and monthly reports in order full transparency to make sure. And if ever you have any questions as you receive the reports, don't be shy and please send your questions to us. With that, we're going to go to the committee reports. The first is the Administration, Finance, and Human Resources Committee with Councillor Basrach as the president of the committee. Here's my report. A lot of files have been discussed since the last meeting. First of all, there was a complete revision was done of our personnel. They're waiting for the final report. When it comes to the community agent at the Fairfield School District South, it is inaudible. 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 With regard to the 10-year plan, they're going to make requests on to the federal government on joint projects. 2026, 2028. Inaudible. Councillor Cormier, myself, we're on a meeting shortly to evaluate our needs and send our list of needs to the province. I'm going to finish with this update on the budget. We received it the first time from the accounting department. I take advantage of this to thank Janice and the accountant for their work. Thank you, Councillor Bastarache. As you can see, the Administration, Finance, and Human Resources Committee is very busy on this. I want to recognize also the last point that Councillor Bastarache has mentioned. It's the first time since the start of our mandate that we received a document about our financial statement that's exactly what was budgeted, what was spent, and a percentage of what has been spent. It's allowed us quickly to see, are we on track? And it's going to continue to be done every month. We're going to continue to receive it. It's going to become an essential tool for us to plan at the start of the year, the middle of the year, and at the end of the year. Because at the end of the year, it allows us to see what remains in order to plan for next year. So it's an essential tool. And once again, the entire council wants to thank you for your work. On that, the Municipal Operations Committee by Councillor Corbin. Thank you, Your Worship. Inaudible. Inaudible. I'm sorry, the interpreter cannot does not understand. Inaudible. Inaudible. We're in phase 1, which is the technical analysis. Inaudible. I'm sorry, inaudible to the interpreter. Once again, inaudible. Once again, inaudible. Once again, inaudible. Inaudible. Thank you, Councillor Cormier. Are there any questions for the councillor? No questions, but I'll make a comment to add to Councillor Cormier's comments about the roads. We continue to have discussions with the Department of Transportation Infrastructure as well as a community on the importance of considering our roads and the priorities we submitted. I must say that I don't think it's a stretch to say that we had none of our priorities has been agreed to. Everything that is being done in our region this year is already foreseen, which means that our priorities, they asked our priorities for 2026, and our answer was quite clear. It's the same as 2025 because we've had nothing we asked for in 2025. So we're going to continue as a council to act as a defender of our community to make sure that, so what we tell the citizens and on behalf of the council is in solidarity on this, that we continue to defend the needs, the essential needs, for which is a public safety concern, our roads, and we're going to continue to do so in before the budgetary process next year. Thank you, Councillor Cormier, and all the councillors for all the work you've done. Public Safety Committee. We had one meeting at the Public Safety Committee. We've discussed what is coming up in the next few days. We have a presence at Expo Kent this year. We made the decision this year to buy a kiosk 10 by 20 at Expo Kent in order to make the community aware of the program called Alliance Chandoré. And it's a neighborhood watch program, which is much more than that, which addresses public safety. We are creating a strategic partnership on these. So we have the Crime Stoppers, we have the RCMP, Public Safety, Public Safety Department, Emergency Measures, as well as our municipal bylaw enforcement. So for that, I want to thank Michelle's entire team, Jason, Janice, Julien, Bernie, Glenn, Denis, the entire gang. I think all the employees in the municipality have participated by organizing, creating this kiosk, filling it in, making sure we have everything we need. And on the weekend, we're inviting everybody to visit us at the kiosk, where we can speak about the details when it comes to the public safety and how we can make advance the Chandelier Alliance efforts. That's what we did when it comes to public safety. Now I'm going to go to development community life. We are preparing for meetings next couple of weeks. We inaudible. What? Or plan A and plan B to ensure improvements. Inaudible. Inaudible. Well, thanks committee for August 15th celebrations. And we hope to do the same thing next year. That's my report. Thank you, Councillor Richard. we're going to go to the next two committees. We're going to go to the development and community life. Any questions? On this 11A motions resolution, the tender that we received regarding asphalting of Harvey Street, and I think on that we had a recommendation from the anything to add on that, or is it quite clear? So we have a resolution in front of us. If it's a pleasure of the council to act on that. Yes, Your Worship, members of council, before reading the resolution, I want to clarify that we're talking about paving only. About a base of a 2 point, a little over 2 inches. So the tender for asphalt VLV, whereas the town of Chandelier issued a public tender for the paving of Bellevue Street, and whereas a total of 5 bids were received and refused, and whereas Birch Hill Construction Limited submitted the lowest compliant bid in the amount of $113,296.85, which includes HSC. Therefore, be it resolved that Council of the Town of Chambéry hereby accepts the tender from Birch Hill Construction Limited for the paving of LV Street for the total amount of $113,296.85, which includes the HSC. You've heard the resolution from Councillor Cormier. Seconded by Councillor Richard. Are there any questions on the resolution or the tender? Is it possible to get a copy of the tenders? It's always possible to get a copy of the tender. Do you want them after the fact, or? In my case, it's just simply a question of curiosity. I just want to know when we get, I just want to know what was included in the agenda. No problem. But seeing as Director of Operations is not here, maybe they could have answered that this evening. It was here, but you have two choices. Either you can receive it afterwards, but it'll be too late to make modifications on this dinner, or you can quite simply make a resolution. You make a motion if it's critical to your decision. No, it's not. It's not critical to my decision. All right, then that's easy. We'll make sure that the executive director send you that information. Any other questions or comments? From my experience with contracts like this, like Councillor Bastrash said, this is the next, know, want want to know why it is so much lower than the others. Are they maybe forgetting something? And maybe it's, so I'm a bit worried about that. Know, I just want to know why it is so low compared to the other bids. This, I cannot give you the answer without this. You have the tenders in front of me, the bids in front of me. But once again, if you want to wait to receive the information afterwards, if you're comfortable with the recommendation of the general manager on when it comes to the recommendation. Councilor Cormier, I would like to check. In Ottawa. Thank you, Councillor Cormier. With this, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor? Against? Adopted. 11B, Dominguez name for new road. On this, we're talking about a new street that is normally should be designated with a name. And I asked you if you have a motion to make on the name for this new road parallel to Main Street. Suggesting Dominguez. I propose that the street parallel to Main Street in the new Dominguez development be named Miguel Street, as requested by the owners. You've heard the motion from Councillor Hicks. Is there someone that would like to second it? Any discussions on the motion? No discussions other than Councillor Hicks. We congratulate you on your French We applaud your effort. All in favor? Against? Adopted. We say we're taken by surprise here. Thank you, Councillor Hicks. No problem. Item 11C, expense policy. I'll give you a bit of context here for the public. We had expense policy, which was called expenses outside the region, but we had no designation, no guide, no directive, let's say, for expenses within the. And we know that there are some, so it became a burden, a financial burden for the employees in the municipality that had to pay all the costs to travel within our municipality. And believe me, they do a lot of travel every day. We had no way to compensate them for their travels. So they're expensive. So the new policy is going to correct that and address it in an equitable manner, a judicious manner. And I congratulate the Human Resources Committee and the new executive director for having created this new policy and done it quickly. Your motion to this effect. Seconded by? Any questions on the policy? I've already a chance to see it. Any questions? We can address it, certainly. No questions? All in favor? Against? Adopted. Now we're going to go to item 12, unfinished business. If there are any, bring them forth. None? Your worship, on the brush cutting on St. Paul Road, I received correspondence from Jacques Bell that the tenders have been sent to contractors in order to start the brush cutting along that particular road, and the Virgin Hill Road as well. And so efforts are underway, and that work should be done this summer. Thank you. So, the road, has been problematic. There have been meetings with the Department of Transportation and with local managers and members of the public that reside on that street. Discussions continue. And we had a meeting last week and this week as well with employees of DTI in order to target in a specific way what should be done and what materials. And there's a collaboration being done with the residents and the department in order to furnish materials and to do the work. We're monitoring that situation quite closely, and we receive reports. You're going to continue receiving those reports, and if you have any questions, let us know. It's going forward slowly, but surely. If you go there, you're going to see that that the work is started. Okay, now we're going to go to new business. Under new business, the first thing that I would say that is new business, I'd like to congratulate Councillor Richard, was named as a representative with the New Brunswick Municipalities Association, so he's going to be our representative. I assume that that Councillor Richard will be made you aware of what's going on. On the weekend, he's going to have his first meeting. That is, he's going to be there for 2 days, and for meetings and and he can approach many subjects at the association. He's going to give us an update the next meeting, surely. And under new business still, maybe we're going to, we need a resolution for 61D to go in camera I move that we go to in camera under 68.1. Thank you. Someone a second? A second. All in favor? Against? Adopted. So members of the public and as well as the interpreter, it's not going to take us long, and don't go far. It's just simply to administrative, correct administrative situation. Right back. Thank you for your patience. Inaudible. So now we're going to go to item 13. 13B, which is land purchase. So to give you an idea of the subject, we received a happy surprise from a citizen, two citizens, that would like to give us a piece of land, a piece of property with a house and everything. And now we're at the point where it's a lot more serious, a lot more advanced. And we want to make sure that to do things in good faith, we are going to put a committee in place that are going to see to its utilization, structure, everything else. With these types of land acquisition, we want to do it in a responsible way. So I'd like to open the floor for council for a resolution about the creation of that committee. I move that the committee creates a working group for the acquisition of land acquisition in our role where the lower land is located. I heard the motion. Is anybody second it? Second. Is there any questions on the motion? More questions? All in favor? Those against? Adopted. I just want to clarify that the committee have already indications from the property owners of that they will be they'd like to be part of the committee. We'll accommodate them and we'll include them in the committee to make sure that their desires when it comes to the property are respected. Another part of this process is to be sure that we're doing things in the right way. We're talking about a major decision, land acquisition. We're talking about several things. And the new law on local governance gives us other options in order to acquire land. So to make the acquisition in net way in the municipality with acquisition in with through an independent corporation. And these are not options that were available before. So with this, we've already made consultations with a specialized lawyer in local government, New Brunswick, and they've given us advice, but we must also establish a clear business plan, clear, and the elements of the entire planning around it. So I invite the council to make a motion to that effect. So it is proposed that the council is authorized to engage the services of a consultant in order to create a business plan regard to the land acquisition. So moved. Somebody to second that? Seconded. Thank you. All in favor? Say aye. Against? Adopted. I can tell you that we are anxious to work with Dr. Saint-Amand on this and the committee in order to ensure that property, as it says clearly by Dr. Saint-Amand, will be utilized for the community. The next point is 13C. And it's another interesting project. I want to advise the population that it's been a while now that we've had discussions with doctors from the region in order to establish a medical clinic in Chandelry. It is a project that is close to heart. It is a project that we are extremely serious about. It's even a project that we're going to show a lot of aggressivity in a positive sense. And on with this aggressivity, we've already discussions with the local MLA. We've already had discussions with the Department of Minister of Health, as well as certain partners that could help us to realize this particular project. The next step, after the consultations with the doctors and the promoters, as well as create a document discussion, the creation of a citizens committee, and comprised of members of the citizens and council, which is ensure that this project goes forward quickly. With this, I invite the council to make a motion. I move to create a committee comprised of citizens and members of council to look at the development of the creation of a medical clinic with interested physicians. You've heard the motion. Anybody second it? A second. Thank you. It's seconded by Councillor Bastrash. Any questions? All in favor, say aye. Those against, adopted. I will now invite the population. If someone has at heart the development of this medical clinic, please communicate with the general manager directly. Give your name, and it'll be our pleasure to consider you to be among the citizen committee. I can assure you that you're going to be made aware of this file and its complexities at each meeting. With this, we're going to item 14, which is questions from the public, if there are any. Inaudible. I think he's wishing you a good summer. But my question is about the meeting, the public meeting that was held inaudible at the particular meeting. Inaudible. Once again, inaudible to the interpreter. Thank you for your question. We'll come back to you with an answer on that. Would you prefer a verbal response or by email? Email. Any other questions from the public? Maurice Cormier, I hope that I'm not hurting the medical clinic, but there's supposed to be another doctor. Have we received the other doctor yet, or? Thank you. As I've said before, we'll come back with an answer on that as well. So we're gonna answer specific requests, as I don't have a definitive answer for you right now, other than I don't know, but we're gonna come back to you with a proper answer. Any other questions from the public? Jason, same thing. It's not a question, it's more a comment. Uh, I, I'd like to thank you for your devotion. It's been a great sounds been a great success this year. It was very fun for the population, and it's an important element in we've seen major activities throughout the evening, whether it be Saint Arnaud, Saint Marie, Saint Paul, and vice versa. And I think it's very important to create, once again, thank you for allowing us to have evenings of that nature. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jason. If you, I'll answer that question. Same thing as I answered last night. And Jason made sure that not all. So, so I'd like to thank Jason and his entire team, the employees, Michelle, Janice, Lisa, and other volunteers that are present to help. And also to remind you that there was 8 musical acts the year before 9, and this year we had 10. We had representation from all the neighborhoods, as Jason said, and it was a lot of fun. And we're anxious for next year. On this, I'll ask for a motion for adjournment. Next meeting is in September, I believe. Meeting is adjourned, I guess.